Good evening. My name is Judy Edwards, and I've lived here in Parsons almost 26 years. I've seen a lot of changes over the last few years, but my biggest concern tonight is the use of these, they're called Polaris side-by-sides. It's like, it reminds me of an old-time dune buggy. The police department tells me that they are legal to have on the roads. However, I question that, and one of the officers actually told me I needed to approach you gentlemen about it. They have no windshields in them. They have no turn signals on them. And yes, some of them have roll bars on them, but they have the micro truck registrations on them, and they are not a micro truck. A micro truck has a cab and generally a bed that you can haul things in. And they're not safe to be on the roadways, not on the city streets. The state says they are not allowed on any state, county, or city roads unless the cities have certain ordinances. I understand that you have ordinances here regarding them, but I really think we need to look at these ordinances and update where they are allowed to be used. And I personally feel like that they should be placed on trailers and used only on off-road adventures. Thank you.
I know that we've approved the micro trucks. We have to pull, I don't know, there's certain qualifications. They have to get a license and they have to be registered. I don't know exactly where the specific vehicle that she's talking about falls into it.
We originally approved the worksite utility, or the micro trucks, and then we also allowed the worksite utility vehicles, which I believe is more in line with what she's talking about.
I have pictures, if that'll help you.
Yeah. It has to meet certain requirements. They have to have an actual city issued tag for those vehicles, and they have to meet certain equipment requirements and those things. They take them up to PD. PD looks at it, and they feel like it meets the qualifications. They are issued the tag.
They'll either come to us or also us, we go ahead and issue tags, so either one we will recognize and allow on the roadway. As long as it's properly tagged for Kansas highway use, then or highway being roadway, then we allow those vehicles on the road.
As long as we go an actual tag, because there's a permit type thing.
Honestly, as they have their requirement tags, and I have not actually on one of my own, I know, but it's not like your standard plate. It is something that the county will also issue.
But we don't have to allow those types of vehicles on city streets. If we choose to rescind our ordinance, obviously we have that right. It's just that, there was people at the time that people wanted to be able to drive them on city streets, and so we allowed them to. But that's obviously up to you guys.
Were there restrictions that they weren't supposed to be on the highways within the city, only on the side streets?
If I recall correctly, I'm shooting from the hip a little bit, I believe they were not supposed to be on like Highway 59 or Main Street, or at least in the downtown area, or the Corning bypass and some of the busier streets. But I would have to actually pull the ordinance to see if I'm getting that confused with something else.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Would it be inappropriate to ask what the reasons for the worry about it?
I have a picture of the micro trucks that I'd be more than happy to let you folks look at. And then here is also a picture of the off-road vehicles. And the off-road vehicles, or the Polaris ones, are the ones that we are seeing with the micro truck registrations on them. They are entirely two different vehicles.
What is your concerns with these Polaris on the road?
On the city streets,
Okay.
well, the biggest thing is they're not safe.
Well, neither's a moped, but
Well.
we allow them.
That's true. On these Polaris side-by-sides,
Yeah.
and I know that a lot of people don't wear their seatbelts even in their regular vehicles. But if you put an individual, let's say, I have a 25-year-old Down syndrome son. Before we go anywhere, our seat belts get clicked in our vehicle. If them seat belts don't click, that vehicle doesn't roll. You put any people with a disability, any person with a disability in one of those Polaris side-by-sides or a vehicle that is meant to be only for off-road, and they don't strap that seat belt around them, there's no doors on them. What keeps them from falling out? Granted, I realize that that would be the responsibility of the driver, but a lot of drivers don't wear seat belts. I personally would not let my son get in an off-road vehicle. Maybe I'm being too guarded of him, but I take my son's life very seriously. I take my own life very seriously. When I was growing up and we rode in dune buggies, they had seat belts on them. They were not a factory seat belt, but they were an added seat belt.
Excuse me just a minute, too. Tom, could I have a question for you on this
Yes, sir.
matter? When you inspect those, are they required to have seat belts? And if they are, they're required, just like any other driver going down the road, to have those on?
Honestly, sir, I haven't done one of the inspections in a very long time. I would want to read the ordinance to give you a better answer. But I can tell you any vehicle that we tag or that is tagged to us, we go meets the requirements that are set forth before us.
For that specific?
Yes.
And they have to follow the rules of the road, so if the rule is they have to wear their seatbelt, then they have to wear the seatbelt.
Let's just start with the ordinance, see what we have, and then.
Okay, I have copies of two of the ordinances here. One of them is ordinance number 6161 that was published in the Parsons Sun on August 7th of 2008. The other one is ordinance number 6178, published in the Parsons Sun, February 5th of 2009. And they both say that they may be operated on the public highways, streets, roads, and alleys within the corporate limits of the city, except that work site utility vehicles may not be operated on the following streets and areas: 32nd Street, Corning Bypass, Southern Avenue, Main Street, Highway 59, 16th Street, any street or road with a posted speed limit of more than 30 miles per hour, in the downtown business district defined as the area between and excluding Central Street to 16th Street and Broadway Street to Washington Street. Except for the downtown business district, the above streets may be crossed incidentally while traveling on crossing streets, roads, and alleys.
Okay.
That's just the first paragraph.
Answers that question.
Part.
Yeah.
Okay, very good.
We'll pull the information and bring
Yeah.
it back to you, and we'll see what we do back in.
I mean, yeah, and I'm assuming we do have some registered?
Yes.
Or-
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We have some.
We have some that are swapping tags also.
That's what I think is going on. They're pulling them off of what they registered and putting them on these off-road vehicles to drive them around.
Okay.
Judy, do you want this back?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I bring it to you.